Relations with Mayor Messam. I am Sean Gale, Assistant City Manager and spokesperson here at the City of Miramar. On today's conversation, our special guests will be providing information and updates on projects and development in historic Miramar. Mayor Messam is joined by Community Development Director Mr. Eric Silva and Deputy City Manager Mr. Whittingham Gordon. We will be taking your questions during the presentation, so please feel free to go ahead and type them in the comment section, and we will get to them during our question and answers. Mayor Messam will kick off the introductions this afternoon. Mayor Messam, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Sean, and welcome everyone, and thanks for tuning in once again. If this is your first time joining us, we're glad to have you. Today we will be providing with you an update on projects that are taking place in East Miramar. Yes, historic Miramar. I have two City of Miramar experts who have been very involved in these ongoing projects, and they will be giving us updates on where these projects currently stand. You know, over the past few years, the city has made significant investments in the historic section of Miramar, east of University Drive. Some of the enhancements completed include replacement of water mains to improve our water supply, replacement of sanitary sewer mains, and also street surfacing. We have completed improvements to our sidewalks and bike lanes and even provided better outdoor lighting. These projects will no doubt contribute to increased property values and a better quality of life for all of our residents. We now have various infrastructure projects taking place. You may have seen the construction signs around. Staff has been hard at work improving stormwater drainage in your neighborhood in an effort to reduce flooding. This is so important, especially during hurricane season. Our goal is to continue to make investments into our city to improve our neighborhoods and work at hand with our residents. And as you'll see in today's presentation, there have been significant dollars and resources that have been invested in historic Miramar. We've always gotten the questions, when is the East going to look like the West? Well, for the last 10 years, we have been doing all of those unsexy projects like improving our engineering, taking care of water, sewer, and utility infrastructure so that we can better position ourselves so that we can improve and attract development into East Miramar. And as you'll see, some of that development has already taken place. Deputy Gordon, can you give our viewers just a glimpse or an insight of some of the infrastructure improvements in East Miramar?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation here. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Messam. Good evening, everyone. I will be giving an overview on how the City of Miramar recaptured its vision of the past, present, and the future, dealing with infrastructure and facilities in historic Miramar. So the question here is, how did we adapt to get to where we are today? As we all remember, the world went through a financial crisis from 2007 to 2009, which is known as the Great Recession. This was the most severe economic financial meltdown since the Great Depression. However, the City of Miramar did not freeze like most cities did, but with the leadership of our mayor and commissioners, we went out aggressively and reinvest in historic Miramar infrastructure and facilities, knowing that the west side would be built out and redevelopment would follow in the historic area. So here, we'll talk about setting the stage for redevelopment and improvement in the community. As you may know, the vast majority of historic Miramar infrastructure was built in the early 1950s, meaning they are outdated and coming to the end of their useful life cycle and would not be able to sustain redevelopment. So the stage was set for redevelopment in 2007. The city started the process by borrowing money from the state of Florida at a very low interest rate, I believe at the time, less than 1%. And this was to address these 5 core areas: replacing septic tank with city sewer, This protect our drinking water, one of our most precious resource. Upsize water main for fire protection. This giving firefighters better capabilities to combat fire in the area. Drainage improvement for flood protection. East water treatment plant renovation, providing high quality water and streetscape improvement. As you can imagine, this was a major undertaking that affected thousands of residents and businesses from 441 to University Drive. So this was done in phases. This map gives you the breakdown of the dates and costs for each phase. To the left, talks about the infrastructure and the benefit the community received from these improvements. I must say today, we are in phase 3, which is scheduled for completion in a few weeks. Now, all the construction we just talked about, or horizontal construction, are better known as underground construction. Once construction is completed, you don't see it, you don't hear it, it's out of sight, out of mind. But without these improvements, we cannot have redevelopment in historic Miramar. The next major undertake is a vertical construction above ground, and that is the rehabilitation of our East Water Treatment Plant. This plant was also built in the early 1950s. It was an outdated, antiquated lime softening plant that had reached the end of its useful life. Today, as I speak, it's under renovation and is 99% completed and is now producing the same water quality as our wastewater treatment plant, with a total cost of over $28 million. So after we started with the underground infrastructure work, the next undertake was to work on the appearance and functionality of our roadways. The first roadway improvement project was started by FDOT, Florida Department of Transportation. That's along State Road 7 in the mid-2000s. This includes sidewalks, drainage, and median improvement at a cost of over $35 million. You can see how efficient State Road 7 is now moving vehicles and pedestrians. Next is to focus on this major thoroughfare, Miramar Parkway, between State Road 7 and 69th Avenue, which was completed earlier this year. We also complete landscaping improvement, Miramar Parkway, between the Turnpike Overpass and University Drive. I just want to touch briefly on some of the scope, which include adding bike lanes, like the mayor mentioned, sidewalks, lighting. Again, the benefit here is neighborhood enhancement and property value increase. But in time in my parkway between University Drive and 441, receive a facelift that is not looking very attractive. Now here's a summary of infrastructure improvement completed from 2007 to present, with a grand total of over $191 million. And here is a summary of public facilities that was built over the last decade for a grand total of over $38 million. I just want to point to the very bottom here, which is our police substation, which will be open in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And this is a new state-of-the-art police substation, will be in the historic area, which is going to provide much more police presence, and also going to be open to the community, where HOAs or community groups could use for meetings. So this is another improvement, again, that's very valuable to our community in historic Miramar. In conclusion, as you can see, the city has spent up to $200 million in historic Miramar infrastructure and facilities over the last decade. It means that historic Miramar is ready for any type of development, and we are improving the quality of life for our community. I want to take this up and say thank you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Gordon. And what great information. Over $200 million invested in that area, in buildings, police substation, underground bike lanes, sidewalks. That's a big improvement to the quality of life of the residents in that area. We're going to go right now to Community Development Director, Mr. Eric Silva. Eric, would you go ahead and talk about any of the developments, other developments that are planned for that area?
Thank you, Sean. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you hear me okay, Sean?
I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to take you through a slideshow that shows some of the private development that is being built right now in the city. And all this private development wouldn't be possible without the infrastructure improvements Deputy City Manager Gordon went through. The improvements to the water treatment plant to add more capacity, removing the septic tanks and putting parcels of land on sewer. Those are all critical for private development to occur. Starting in the southeast corner of the city, this is on County Line Road and Southwest 62nd Avenue, the Food Fair Plaza. Previously, this was known as the Winn-Dixie Plaza, but the whole facade and a new grocery store opened up this summer, and a small addition was added to the east side of the building. The entire parking lot was redone, resurfaced, new landscaping was added. Then in the future, the owner of this lot will be coming in with a new small plaza on the western side, and that should include a Dunkin' Donuts and other shops in that small plaza. Just to the west of that development, the Food Fair Plaza, there are several homes under development. These here are a couple of homes that are being built by Habitat for Humanity. They're building a total of 6 new homes in the area. They're located between Southwest 62nd Avenue and State Road 7. These will be homes for 6 new families in the area. And those families are expected to move in around Thanksgiving. Also, staying in that same area, there's private development recurring, generally duplexes and triplexes. These are a few examples located in the same area between Southwest 62nd Avenue and State Road 7. Just a little bit further north, along Southwest 62nd Avenue, across from Snake Warrior Park, Positano Townhomes. They're currently under construction. This will be a townhome development consisting of 35 units, and there'll be for sale units in the area. This is one of the largest developments that we've seen in this area in a long time. Continuing on the same street, just south of Miramar Parkway, earlier this year, some new homes were completed on the western side of the road. You can see those here. There's about 3 or 4 new homes. This is by the Dunkin' Donuts. And a bit further north along Pembroke Road in Southwest 62nd Avenue, a medical office was recently completed. You can see the design to fit the character of the city, the Mediterranean style of the city. This project, Mega Center, it's an industrial and office development. In total, it'll be over 170,000 square feet. This is located by the Turnpike on Riviera Boulevard, University and the Turnpike in that area. And this was a office/industrial development. They're going ahead right now and adding some new square footage on both the east and the west side. And they're also building out some of the interiors to allow for new uses to occur. A little bit to the west, Najib Gardens was completed earlier this year. And this is at Southwest 64th Avenue and Southwest 26th Street. The graphic to the left, these were 15 units. In addition to building the 15 units, they also improved the sidewalk and added more landscaping and lighting to the area. The photo of the right is just across the street, across Southwest 26th Street. The same developer also owns this lot, and they're going to build a Mira building on this lot. It'll be another 15 units. We expect to get those permit applications in later this year. A little bit to the south of that project, there are 9 units that recently opened up and families have moved in. It's Southwest 64th Avenue and Southwest 27th Street. Landscaping, this project is fully open and occupied. At the beginning of this year, the Taco Bell opened up at Southwest 69th Avenue at Miramar Parkway. Also improved the landscaping and the sidewalks for the pedestrian access. And then just behind the Taco Bell, improvements are occurring. They're just about completed at the B&M Shopping Plaza. And in addition to the new covered walkway and the facade with the painting and the new windows, this project also included drainage. So the entire parking lot underneath the parking lot, new drainage was put in. So customers don't have to walk across puddles to get to the businesses. Several of the businesses in this plaza here, once they saw these improvements taking place, new tenants moved in and they completed their own interior build outs. There's a barber shop that did the whole inside of the building brand new. And then Cleveland's Ice Cream Shop, which opened up just a couple of weeks ago. We redid the whole interior, made a lot of improvements, and it's been a very popular attraction so far. Now, related to all the private redevelopment that's occurring in the area, the city is also working with the residents to make sure that we're taking care of some issues that have existed in the area for a while. We recently created a Historic Miramar Innovation Technology Hub Task Force. Just wanted to touch on this a little bit to explain how residents can get involved in the area. The Miramar Innovation Technology Hub will create a high-quality workforce, housing, innovation technology hub, transit hub, commercial mixed-use, open space that integrates into the existing community and links various surrounding public and private uses. So we're working with the residents to make sure they have input on not only redevelopment and new private development, but also issues affecting their life. So quality of life issues such as improving neighborhoods, improving lighting, landscaping, water pressure, code enforcement, mosquito control, traffic, any cut-through traffic in the area, crime issues, sidewalks, and litter. So recently, staff from the city, along with the city manager's office, went out to the neighborhood and spoke with them and met with residents at their homes to talk about issues that affect their everyday lives. So this new program, this new task force, is managed by the manager's office and has representatives from each department. So it brings together public works with planning and zoning, utilities, to make sure they're working together to address all the issues, and also provides the residents with direct contact to the people that can fix the problems. It's a comprehensive approach to addressing issues, ongoing participation from the community. We've had a couple of meetings already in the community, but these meetings are going to continue. And each time we meet, we're going to report back and let the residents know how we're addressing the issues. The goal is to get back to the residents every 2 weeks. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Eric. Such great information. And we already have, the residents pouring in the questions on Facebook. I'm going to take the first one to Mayor Messam, and I know, sir, that you've been engaging with some of the questions that are coming in, but I'll repeat it just for the benefit of our other viewers. Where can individuals find more details on the police substation that's being finalized in historic Miramar?
Yes, that's a great question. If you can go to our city's website at MiramarFL.gov, we encourage all of our residents to sign up for our newsletters and our notifications so that when we're having facility openings and information about improvements, either additions to facilities of our city or improvements or programs, you will be among the first to know. Also, if you follow myself on Twitter at Wayne Messam or on Facebook at Mayor Wayne M. Messam, I'm frequently updating notices about these facilities. The upcoming police substation is going to be a community resource right in the heart of East Miramar, and it is slated to open in around early fall. The project is actually being constructed by D. Stevenson Construction Group, and they are in the final stages of punch out and finishing up on the final phases of this project. We're really excited about this project. This project was actually funded by the revenue bond from 2013, which actually facilitated a lot of the park improvements that you've been seeing, Shirley Bronco Park, and other infrastructure projects, along with other funding sources. So we're really excited about this project, and we're really making the commitments to ensure that East Miramar has all the amenities as Central and West.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. And now we have another question on Facebook, and I know that this does not have anything to do with construction, but this is a concerned citizen that has issues with the canal by the turnpike, and they're saying that it needs cleaning, and then their neighbors are experiencing an issue with rats and so on. So, Deputy, can you speak to the frequency with which we clean canals or do any kind of maintenance work in that area?
Yes, that's ACF Gale. I'm aware of the canal. The canal is owned by the Turnpike, not the City of Miramar. So legally, we cannot go in those canals and clean those canals. But we're in constant contact with the Turnpike folks, trying to have them to have more frequency in those areas. So right now, Public Works Director, Mr. Collins, is in contact, like I said, and he will be reaching out again or sometime this week, then just to find out to get a new date when he'll be out there cleaning. But I'm aware of the situation.
Thank you so much, Deputy. Now, I want to tackle it from the standpoint of the task force. So, Eric, if the residents are having issues, it's their own canal, like the Deputy says, how can they engage with the task force to see if they can get some assistance there?
Thank you, Sean. Yes, they can engage with the task force by contacting the city manager's office, and we'll bring the right people, as DCM Gordon mentioned, out there to take a look at it and address the residents' issue.
Perfect. And later on, we'll share a number where individuals can call, a phone number for them to call to see if they can connect with the city manager's office if they're having any type of issue. But I wanted to go to Mayor Messam, because at this time, we're all dealing with budgets. We're all dealing with, finalizing the fiscal year 21 budget and, talk about where funds come from, where they go. Mayor Messam, can you talk about funding for the projects that are slated for historic Miramar and, help our residents understand how we plan those projects when we're talking about from a budgetary standpoint?
Yes, that's an excellent question, Sean. We have many funding sources for projects that are coming in East Miramar. At first, our general fund and our capital improvement plan program actually lays out a 5-year plan for our projects. So there you can actually see what projects are coming and when they're forecasted to be completed, as well as the funding sources. In terms of our utility projects, the city is very aggressive in working with the state of Florida and taking advantage of our state revolving loans, which is a program that provides very low interest loans from the state of Florida that municipalities across the state can use and leverage those dollars to do the improvements like our brand new water treatment plant, or if we're doing any other utility infrastructure projects in the city, like stormwater management that you're seeing. Many of our residents right now in phase 3, they are enduring some of the impacts of our stormwater management and water main projects that we're doing in East Miramar. And we're asking for your patience as we continue to make these improvements. That's one of my commitments as mayor when I ran, was to ensure that we are working together with the city administration, the residents, and the Miramar City Commission to ensure that we upgrade East Miramar, because frankly, a lot of the initial infrastructure that was built in from the 50s and 60s and 70s have not, in all candor, have not been improved. So we're really committed to ensure that our residents can no longer go outside and their driveways are flooded. And we are just letting you know, if you're experiencing these situations right now, we're on the way.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. And speaking of upgrades to that area, we just got another question with regards to the linear park along Utopia Drive. And if you can speak to whether or not there are plans to upgrade the park at Utopia Drive, or this will be something that we would need to go investigate and put on a list. Can you speak to that, sir, to that viewer?
Yes, if there's any upgrades to current parks or even new conceived ideas, you can contact my office at MiramarFL.gov. Before I continue, Sean, I think you need to mute your mic because there's an echo. Yes, so if you can just contact my office, and we can find out exactly what you're looking for in terms of improvements. And then that process is we talk with our staff, we bring it forward. The staff works with our city commission to see where the commission stands on these improvements. Then we look at in terms of priorities, in terms of how we can fund these projects. When you look at Shirley Bronco Park, when you look at the police substation, when you look at all of our parks and fire stations and our police headquarters at Town Center, all of these projects were birthed because of needs driven by the community in regards to wanting a need to have this in the community. So that's why we're really excited about the infrastructure projects. We're very creative in trying to find funding sources. I was very critical when I first was elected about commissions in the past when the city had an opportunity to establish a CRA. And the commission years ago at the time did not want to do all of the requirements to become eligible for a CRA, which included designating certain census tracts as slum and blight. They did not want to do that. So because of that, Miramar doesn't have a CRA. And now the state legislature in Broward County is not favorable for the institution of new CRAs. The benefit of a CRA is being able to use tax increment to be able to use the appreciation in property to dedicate fundings from those areas to reinvest into the community, where we can improve infrastructure, where we can do public-private partnerships. So because we don't have those dollars available, we have to use the general fund. We have to use other funding sources. We have to use grants. We've established the Miramar Economic Development Fund, and we're looking at very creative ways now to be able to meet the needs of our residents.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. Great information, great answer. Eric, I'm going to come for this next question your way. We dealt with the Utopia Drive park, but this question has to do with speeding. Can you talk about the process for any zone in our city, whether historic Miramar or not? And this question is, can we convert all of historic Miramar to a traffic calming zone? And while that may not be possible for major thoroughfares like Miramar Parkway and so on, can you talk about the process of dealing with vehicular traffic and speeds throughout our roadways and what that might look like?
Sure. Well, I think some of the projects that Deputy City Manager Gordon went over, they were traffic calming projects. Every time we go ahead and we put in those new paver crosswalks, or we put in new landscaping or wider sidewalks, bike lanes, those all help to calm traffic and reduce speeds. In addition to those projects that I mentioned earlier, our engineering department has been working with the Metropolitan Planning Organization to have more of these projects put into place. So residents will soon see more projects along Memorial Parkway. There'll be a new section added. And then further to the east, the east-west streets are also going to be having more traffic calming features put in. But if there's a specific area within your neighborhood that you think there's a problem with speeding, I encourage you, you can always call the police department, but you can also call the engineering department and they can do a study and make a determination if additional traffic calming is needed to address the issue.
Thank you so much, Eric. Deputy Gordon, let me take this question for you. It says, when is the city going to fix the street or rivers in historic Miramar? And I'm assuming that this is talking about drainage. The streets are overflowing. We're being charged for the stormwater drainage every year, and they're asking when is that going to be fixed? And I know we've done some work in some areas. Maybe we haven't gotten to others, but can you speak to that, sir?
Finish up in our phase 3 in the Stoke area from 25th Street all the way up to Pembroke Road, from Sunshine to 64th Avenue. That include water, sewer, paving, and drainage. And the next phase that we're going to be working on is going to be phase 4, and that's going to be from 69th Way all the way to 64th Avenue and south of Miramar Parkway. And that will be starting out in 2021. Right now, the design for the project is about 90% completed, and we'll be going out to bid, I would say, some later part of this year. And construction hopefully should be starting first part of 2021. So we're in the process, and we keep moving. Like I said, we have phase 4 that's coming up. Then we got phase 5 and phase 6, and that will take care of all the drainage situations for Miramar once we get to phase 6.
Awesome. Can you go ahead, Mayor Messam? You wanted to add something to that?
Yes, and I'd like to thank our Public Works department and all of our contractors for working on this. It's been kind of some growing pains in the phases that we are right now. I did want to briefly give some perspective in terms of how we are phasing the improvements for stormwater management. In fact, always getting complaints from residents who have been enduring flooding in their neighborhoods and being asked once, Mayor, when are we going to make these improvements? And actually, at the time, I was a commissioner. So I contacted our staff and say, listen, I'm getting a lot of complaints about flooding in neighborhoods and driveways being flooded after very hard rainfalls. And in all candor, the response was that, well, we don't have all of the funding to fix all of East Miramar's stormwater management deficiencies. So I said, well, that's not satisfactory. We have to be able to put a plan together. If we don't have the money, I don't mind saying that to the residents, but we have to follow that up with a plan in terms of how we will get the money and when. Resolution. So our current city manager, who at the time was the assistant city manager over utilities and public works, he worked with his team with members like Deputy Manager City Gordon was in the utilities department and our public works directors to start outlining a plan to say, let's start doing feasibility studies. Let's engage some engineering consultants to see how much this would cost so that we can be prepared. So when funding is available, we can hit the ground running. So we've done phase one, we've done phase two, we're in phase three, as Deputy Manager Gordon just stated now that we're making our way for phases 4, 5, and 6. So if you're continuing to experience flooding, do know that there is a plan. We'll work to update our websites to show where we are and when with applicable dates, at least tentative dates for where we are for your neighborhood so that you can know when the improvements are coming.
Excellent point, Mayor Messam. Excellent point. Deputy Gordon, I wanted to ask you, just as a follow-up to what Mayor Messam just said and the information you gave, how can residents connect with that timeline to know what phases are coming up next, how it may affect where they live, to know if they're in that phase, and how can they get information on when their area is going to be affected with improvements?
As the mayor mentioned earlier, this project will be listed on the city website. Also, we will be having community meetings in all these communities before we get into the construction. So we will reach out to residents, having meetings over the period of time before we start construction. So they'll be aware and know exactly when we're going to start. And even during the construction, we will be having periodic meetings while the construction is going on to give them updated information to let them know if there's delays or we got, we're moving faster than we expected. So definitely we'll be keep in touch with our residents and let them know what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. It's important to know that that whenever starting, that there are that residents can engage with. Eric, I'm going to take this next question to you. In your presentation, you spoke about some improvements or development that's between 67th and 69th, different residential projects and so on. So this individual is concerned about the traffic that the developments will bring. And the area of concern is through Woodscape onto County Line Road. Can you talk about traffic in that area and how that can be alleviated?
Yes, Sean. So the city is working, led by our city manager's office, through the task force to look at that specific issue on cut-through traffic from Woodscape. So we met out there already twice. We had all the appropriate departments out there to take a look at the issue. And it's both on 68th and 69th that people are cutting through the area. So we will be doing traffic analysis to determine what can be done, whether it is more traffic calming, or if needed, who knows, we might have to end up, putting up some gates or closing some roads if we have to get that, sort of drastic to make sure that those trucks and other people don't go speeding through the neighborhoods. But that issue will be addressed before there's any new redevelopment that occurs along the Parkway or in other parts of that area.
And Sean, I want to follow up on that a little bit. As of today, the Public Works Department went out in Woodscape in order to install signage, no through trucks through the community. So we're starting the process, letting people knowing now that this will not allow for trucks and heavy equipment going through that community. And officers will be having more police presence once also our substation is complete. There'll be more police presence in that area too to enforce those issues.
Awesome. That should be music to the ears of our residents in that area with their complaints for through traffic. Mayor Messam, I know this doesn't have to do with historic Miramar, but there's a question regarding the dog park and when that's going to come to be opened at Miramar Regional Park. Can you address that briefly, sir?
Many of our residents have been highly anticipating the regional park opening of the Bark Park at Regional Park. We are planning to open up the park in probably around mid-October, so stay tuned for those updates. The park is completed. It's been completed actually. The delay has been basically because of the shutdown, because of the pandemic. But now that the regional park has been open for passive use, the Bark Park can be used passively with our dog owners and their pets in the park. So stay tuned for that opening. And again, that project at Regional Park is another perfect example of residents reaching out to my office regarding having a dog park and bringing that issue and working with staff to bring it forward. To have it funded and actually finding a location within Regional Park that would be suited for the dog park. And the dog park actually will be able to accommodate large dogs on one side and smaller dogs on the other side. So there are instructions in regards to registering your puppy. So again, visit MiramarFL.gov. If you go to our Parks and Recs department, there should soon be information available on how to register your dog to be able to fully utilize the Bark Park.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. So going back to businesses in historic Miramar, as we talk about the construction projects, I think this is coming from the standpoint of someone who wants to be involved with construction. And Mayor Messam, I'm just going to send this one your way. It's saying, does your business need to be in Miramar to take advantage of projects? And I'm assuming that advantage means, you know, being a contractor that's working on some of these projects. Can you talk about that process, sir, and how someone would get involved for their company to get some of that work?
Yes, the City of Miramar does not discriminate against any business in terms of where your firm may be domiciled and where your business may be located or headquartered. In fact, there are some incentives for Miramar-based businesses as well as businesses that are certified by the Office of Economic and Small Business Development for Broward County, which are known as CBE firms, typically have preference points towards their response to solicitations through our procurement department. But the City of Miramar has been very aggressively working to remove historical barriers as relates to doing work with the City of Miramar. I led the effort to have the disparity study done in the City of Miramar, and it basically confirmed what we already knew, that Black-owned, women-owned, and my other minority firms really were not getting their fair share of business opportunities in the City of Miramar, especially as it relates to construction opportunities and other business sectors. Currently, right now, we have implemented race and gender neutral programs that piggyback off Broward County CBE certified firms and preference points. And because we now have a disparity study that shows that we have disparity, we are in the process right now of actually implementing a race and gender preference program to cure some of the disparities that the disparity study has uncovered in the City of Miramar. So stay tuned. If you are a minority-owned company, a Black-owned company, a woman-owned company in the City of Miramar, in fact, in our region, because the MSA includes Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, you will be able to have many procurement opportunities to help the city of Miramar meet the needs of our residents and our various departments.
Great answer, Mayor Messam. Great information, and I should point out, sir, that on last week's conversation with Mayor Messam, we actually gave some information on workshops and so on that the city is doing, and how they can connect and do business with Miramar. So I think going to our website and connecting with those workshops and the previous webinars and so on, that will help our businesses to take advantage of these opportunities. Would you say, sir?
Oh yes, I'm very proud of our economic and business development department under the direction of Anita Thane, who works hand in hand with our assistant city manager Sean Gale and our manager Bernie Hargray. They have put together excellent resources, especially during this pandemic. Ways to keep your business viable, ways to keep your business competitive, as well as providing specific information on how the city of Miramar can provide grants and funding for your business, as well as giving you referrals and identifying areas of opportunities to get funding from some of our other governmental peers. So it's really more than just about procurement opportunities with the city of Miramar. It's about providing resources and that coaching and that mentoring and leveraging with our other partners in government to share best practices so that our businesses can become successful. In fact, I'm very excited about the prospects of our innovation village because, as you know, the private sector is even larger than the governmental sector. And Miramar being the home of more Fortune 500 companies in any city in the Tri-County area, including Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County, we know that there's a tremendous opportunity to build up our supply chain for these large and mid-sized companies. It makes no sense for any of our companies that are major players internationally and nationally that have their domicile right here in the city of Miramar, and they're contracting with firms out of Virginia, New York, California, when we have companies right here in our city and in South Florida that would be able to better serve them. So we want to make sure that we connect you with them so that you can understand what is going to be required to keep these businesses viable so that they can stay in Miramar, and how you can be a part of helping them reach the goals of their shareholders as well as the leadership of their corporations.
Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. Thank you. The next question I'm going to send to our Deputy City Manager. Deputy Gordon, this question relates to the fencing that was proposed along Pembroke Road by Jody Lane. Can you talk about that, sir, and talk about any timelines or what we can tell our residents about when they can expect to see construction on that fence?
Yeah. That project has been in the budget. Last year came up in the budget, and this year also is back in the budget. The issue we're having right now with that project is that's right away belongs to FDOT, and there's not enough room in the back to put a private fence by the city. So we have to get easement from everybody to get onto our property. We're now in communication of maybe changing from a wall to a fence. The budget called for a wall right now, so we might be changing that to a fence, which might be, I would say, more accommodating. We're having a meeting coming up, I think it's this week, out on the site to take a look at it and see if we can put a fence, which is, like I said, more accommodating, not as big as a wall. And I think by that time we'll have more answers when we get out there and see what's happening.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for that answer. And while you have the floor, if I can pitch this next question to you. I know you answered this question before, and maybe this viewer was not on at the time, so I want, for the benefit of this individual, to pose this question again, just to hear the answer again. And this is another question about the flooding in historic Miramar and what is being done. This person is saying that, there are street floods within 10 minutes of rain. So could you talk again about plans to do those improvements and what the phases are and what that process will look like?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we completed phase 1, phase 2, and we're currently working in phase 3, which should be finished in the next few weeks. We're looking forward to go to phase 4 in 2021. And depends on where this gentleman is located at, but East Miramar at the time when East Miramar was built, the elevation of East Miramar is a very low-lying area compared to the other side of the town. Once we get all these information in regards to infrastructure, to where we're going to go in those areas, we will be able to more manage a project and have the drainage situation resolved. Again, we're looking to go to phase 4, which is from 69th Avenue all the way to 64th, and that's going to be south of Miramar Parkway all the way to the County Line Road. So that's the next phase, and after that, phase 5 will be north of Miramar Parkway from Sunshine Boulevard all the way to 64th also. So stay tuned, we're coming your way.
Thank you, sir. I like that. Stay tuned. We're coming your way. The next question that came in has to do with Forstina Park, and I know that that has also been in conversations. Are you able to give us any updates on what's happening with Forstina Park?
Yes, the Forstina Park project is on the way right now. They're doing earthwork. That's earthwork. We're going to be renovating the soccer field to a state of the art. I call it state of the art for what it's there right now. So yes, it will be a state of the art soccer field, basketball court. We're going to provide restrooms, so that currently the players that comes out there to play in the evenings, they have to go use the church restrooms. So now we're going to put in restrooms so they have access to the players. So that's ongoing, and I would say that should complete within 6 to 8 months. That's a very small project. It's not going to take long, so it's within 6 to 8 months.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Mayor Messam, I'll ask you this next question, sir, and this has to do with the 2013 bond and the projects that bond was supposed to cover. So this resident wants to know, are all those projects completed at this point that were slated for the 2013 bond?
Yes, that's a great question. Actually, most of those projects are completed. A significant part of that bond were our public safety projects, where we built our LEED Gold state-of-the-art police headquarters at Town Center. We built a new fire station 107 right off of Flamingo and Miramar Parkway. We currently have the police substation in historic Miramar, right off of 69th Way, under construction right now. And we've also built Shirley Branca Park with the band shell that is there. We've renovated, resurfaced parks throughout the entire city. We actually built the Miramar Amphitheater at Regina Park. Some of the listeners or viewers on the program right now may have seen some internationally acclaimed artists right here in the city of Miramar because of the amphitheater. So those are just a few of the projects which were significant. There was 3 areas that the project funded. It funded public safety, which were significant. It was over half of that, about 45% of the bond. And we had infrastructure projects and recreational projects. It built Harbor Lakes Park. It built Monarch Lakes Park. There were some improvements to Vizcaya Park, Lakeshore Park, as well as River Run Park, and several other parks throughout the city. And the reason why I pushed that revenue bond back in 2013, it was actually came with some resistance. As you can recall, in 2010, after the housing burst, there are many still, the city was going under tremendous financial strains, not because the city was poor, it's just that because the economy nationally was not doing well, but on the contrary, the city of Miramar continued to grow in population. So the demand on our services, the demands on our infrastructure, the demands on our public facilities continued to grow when we could not ask the residents for more money. So the revenue bond was actually possible because our city continued to grow with private development. We were able to leverage impact fees from park impact fees from developments, all of the multifamily developments you're seeing throughout the city of Miramar. We're able to leverage the millions of dollars in impact fees that was being paid to the city to go out and get a revenue bond to be able to fast track many of these projects instead of having to wait for the economy to fully come back and to prevent us from actually raising taxes on our residents. We are thankful that we had a majority on the commission to approve that, and now you are seeing the benefits of all the projects that you are seeing that are being touted either by the city or respective elected officials. Many of them are being funded and were funded by the 2013 revenue bond that made it possible. So it's just some of the ways where we're able to be creative to make sure that we are meeting demands of our residents.
Thank you, Mayor Messam. And before we ask our panelists this afternoon to give us their final comments and wrap up our conversation, I have another question for you, sir. And I apologize that this viewer had a little bit of a challenge getting on this afternoon, and so they had missed your introduction. But this question has to do with, I guess, going back to your address on the state of the city, the last state of the city address. I think you had mentioned, according to what this viewer is asking us, that you had mentioned a senior housing facility. And the question here is, what's the status on that? How is that going?
Yes, the City of Miramar, at the City of Miramar, we actually have a few senior housing projects that are either in planning or in funding requests. One of those examples is two public-private partnerships. One is with the Archdiocese of Miami on Miramar Parkway across from the regional park, where their Catholic church, they have vacant property there where they'll have affordable senior housing, and they're seeking funding from the state Florida Housing Corporation, as well as another developer that has also applied to the Florida Housing Corporation for funding as well. And those are two public-private partnerships. In that case, on the second case, by the adult daycare center off of Douglas and Miramar Parkway, where the old police headquarters used to be, is being designated for senior housing. And it's a public-private partnership where the City of Miramar is providing the land, the developer is providing the financing and funding for the development of the housing component. So we have a joint application in with the state. They had their the first application did not make the final selection, but it is back on the cycle for the next funding cycle to be able to apply again. And we're hopeful that the City of Miramar, we're making some tweaks to the application to strengthen our application, because it's a very competitive development process. And we're hoping to get that so we can have additional funding. Also, with some of the developments and some of the projects that were shared by Director Silva, there are several housing developments in East Miramar that are attainable and affordable housing that seniors can reach as well. These projects have been possible because of the infrastructure investments that we've made. You know, developers, they look out across South Florida to see where they can invest and make developments. And they identify cities that cost them less time and less infrastructure improvements to be able to place their developments. And because we are putting in all this engineering and underground utilities, it's making Miramar so much more competitive to attract developers. Now, we are also right now in the City of Miramar, we just actually had a WebEx meeting with the neighborhood of East Miramar, with residents in East Miramar, talking about a proposed land amendment, land use amendment that we are currently undergoing to designate housing units, as well as to put zoning entitlements, so that historic Miramar, so just east of the Miramar Parkway overpass on over the turnpike, going east back towards 441, to be a downtown mixed-use hub, so that developers can have the entitlement to bring in housing that looks just as nice as you would see in Central and East and West Miramar, to bring in commercial space, whether it's office and retail mixed-use opportunities, so that you can put a business there. So restaurants can come there, whether they're national chains or mom and pops. In fact, we're desiring mom and pop restaurants and brands to be in those places. We don't want to be like other cities where infrastructure is coming in, improvements are coming in, and the neighborhood is getting gentrified, and our residents and business owners are getting left behind. And we're very conscious of that. So it's a balancing act, and making sure that we have what we need to have to be attractive as a city for development, communicating and engaging our residents and business owners so that they are prepared for these opportunities. And as you're listening and watching this conversation right now, you're getting free information right now, very early information that developers pay lobbyists, and information that developers pay consultants tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to investigate and bring back in reports so that they can have the intelligence to make the right feasibility analysis to determine if they're going to invest in an area. So if you're an investor out there, I would encourage you, continue to stay engaged with the City of Miramar, because it would make me feel the best if our residents and our business owners are actually the ones that are doing the investment, that are doing the development, because it'll be our own, and that is our vision.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. Right now, I'm going to ask our panelists to give any final comments that they have for us this afternoon. I'm going to start with Eric. And Eric, Mayor Messam, I think I see one more question here. Does your business need to be in Miramar? I think you addressed this issue before about businesses taking advantage of opportunities. But if the question is asked, sir, I'm going to assume that somebody missed the answer. So if you could indulge the viewer to just repeat the response to that question.
No, you do not have to be, your business does not have to be in Miramar. Obviously, there are benefits for being a Miramar business. We give preference points in your responses to our solicitations because we love our Miramar businesses. They pay taxes and they're family. And we want you to be family too. So whenever that lease is up, or if you ever decide to, or if you own your facility, rent that out and buy another one in Miramar, and then you can get all the perks and benefits of being a Miramar business.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor Messam. And as I said, I'm going to ask our panelists to wrap up this afternoon with any final comments. Eric, while you give your final comment, the remaining portion of the previous question had to do with the person saying that they're seeing construction at 57th, which is Hiatus and Miramar Parkway. I think it's really the construction right there at Miramar Parkway and Red Road. Maybe that's the construction. But in your closing, could you just speak to that, just so the residents who are watching would just know what's happening in that area?
Sure, I can address that first, Sean. The project that's under construction at Red Road and Miramar Parkway, that's going to be some new apartment buildings. There'll be 650 new apartment buildings there. And along the frontage, along Red Road and Miramar Parkway, right at the corner, there'll be about 50,000 square feet of commercial development, including 8 new restaurants for residents to go to. That'll be in construction soon, the commercial piece. And as far as closing comments related to historic Miramar, I think it's an exciting time for redevelopment and improvements in the area. The public improvements that were discussed tonight, the private projects that are taking place in the area, people are starting to take notice. We in planning and zoning, we get questions from developers within Miramar and even outside of Miramar. Questions about maybe assembling land and building new buildings, building new housing. As the housing starts to come along, then the commercial development always follows the housing. So now we're getting questions about commercial development, and it could be something as simple as the redevelopment of a unit, such as the ice cream shop. That starts to get people to take notice. And the owner of that shop actually told me that Deco Drive's going to be there on a Friday night for an interview with him. So people are noticing historic Miramar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. That should be good to know. So historic Miramar is on the map because Deco Drive is happening. Thank you so much, Eric. Deputy Gordon, we're going to go to you right now, sir. Any final comments you have for our viewers today? Any wrap-up comments you want to make?
Yes, AC and Gail. What I want to stress to our residents is patience. It's never easy going into an existing community with heavy equipment and start digging and tearing up the area. It's going to create havoc to the community. So I just want to reach out to the resident by saying, be patient. We're here. We're not forgetting about you. If there's an issue out there during the construction, we're here to make sure we resolve all the issues. But it's not going to be easy. We did phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. That's why we did this project in phases. We just don't come and tear the entire community up. We have to do it in phases. So again, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be disruption. There's going to be folks sometime when we get to their property, their cars. The road's not going to be smooth at all times, but at the end of the day, when we're finished with these projects, you will have the youngest infrastructure in the entire city of Miramar. Your infrastructure in East Miramar will be younger than West Miramar. So in the next 50, 60 years, nobody have to come back in East Miramar to do anything. And I just want to make one point here. If we don't do this today and do what we're doing right now, we will be hurting the resident tomorrow. If you look at the city of Fort Lauderdale, who went through major redevelopment on their east side of Fort Lauderdale, a lot of high rise. But guess what? Every 2 or 3 weeks, you look at the news, they have water main breaks, they have sewer main breaks, dumping millions of gallons of sewer into the intercoastal, causing millions and millions of dollars. So they did not invest into the infrastructure like what we're doing. We're investing in our infrastructure to make sure that when the vertical construction comes up, like Mr. Silver spoke about, there's no needs or worries in the future. So that's one of the one. Be patient, and we'll be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Be patient. We're coming your way. Thank you again, Deputy Gordon. Mayor Messam, any final comments for our viewers today, sir?
Well, I just would like to thank our residents and our viewers for tuning in for another episode of Conversations with Mayor Messam. I'd like to thank our Deputy Manager, Whittingham Gordon, and our Director, Community Development, Eric Silva, for sharing some wonderful information about historic East Miramar and all the investments we're doing and what is on the way. I always try to end these conversations upbeat. Those of you who follow me on social media, I try to just leave a positive word for everyone every day. And you know that I am not a complainer, but I love complaints, because when we get complaints, we're able to listen, to hear, and to respond. That is our job. You are my boss. I work for you. You are the bosses of the commission. We all work for you. And our city staff works tirelessly for all of the city of Miramar. And what we are doing is making sure that all of Miramar is great. West Miramar, Central Miramar, and historic East Miramar. We want to make sure that Miramar comprehensively is the #1 city. I'm so proud and humbled to be this mayor. I'm so excited about what is coming, especially when we talk about our innovation zone. We are getting ready for the future. We are entering into a gig economy. We brag as a city about how many companies we have in our city, but you know what? If we are not proactive as a city to ensure that the workforce is trained and skilled and ready, and we establish those relationships and provide the resources like the upcoming innovation village that we are planning, that will be coming to East Miramar. We could have put it anywhere in the city of Miramar, but we're putting it in the heart of East Miramar to ensure that we are ready for the gig economy, to make sure that we are partnering. We already have a memorandum of understanding with Broward College and the Broward Up program that will be providing actual skills for you. So if you're unemployed right now because of this pandemic, we will be providing free skills and training with Broward College right here in the city of Miramar, and it's going to be free, to make sure that we can give more skills to our residents so that they can be gainfully employed. We have so many ideas for our innovation village. There are ideas that are kicked around in terms of creating entrepreneurship programs, getting our kids involved with esports, and so many other programs. We're already in conversations with Florida International University and their program that is called the Internet of Things. Because in all candor, if we're not prepared for the future, the businesses that are here in our city will be obsolete 15, 20 years from now. And we want to make sure that our city remains a shining star and attractive, not only for corporations, not only for mom and pops, but we want it to be attractive for our children, so that when our children grow up and when they go to college and they want to start a family, they say, you know what, it's so great in Miramar. There's so many opportunities in Miramar. I want to raise my own family in Miramar. And that is what it's all about. So to learn more about the Broward Up program, on our next conversations with Mayor Messam, that will take place next month on the 14th, we will have President Gregory Hale who will be here with me to talk about the Broward Up program and what you can expect and what you can gain. So just mark your calendars, stay tuned, and we look forward to joining you in a couple of weeks. And Sean, it's all yours. Oh, before I turn it over to you, Sean, let
Thank
them
you so
know
much.
we have our budget hearings coming up. This is one of the very important charges of the commission by charter. One of our duties is to pass a budget. In the state of Florida, we have to pass a balanced budget. And we have budget hearings that'll be coming up later this month. And we want the public to attend. You can attend virtually. Go to MiramarFL.gov to attend those budget hearings that are coming up so that we can hear your voice about the priorities of our city.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mayor Messam. And yes, the 2 budget hearings coming up. Our budgets are passed by ordinance, which requires 2 reading of the City Commission, and our residents are welcome to take advantage of participation in those sessions virtually. Thank you so much, Mayor Messam, and thank you to our panelists today. Most of all, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. To find out more about the projects that are taking place in historic Miramar or just anywhere in our city, please visit MiramarFL.gov. Like the mayor keeps saying, visit our website, get engaged. But also, please follow us on social media at City of Miramar for notifications on construction, road closures, detours, anything that will impact you and make your quality of life better within the City of Miramar, just so you're in the know. Again, I'm Sean Gale. Have a great evening and stay safe.